So let's talk about Zoom. So Zoom is a very intriguing movie, as you probably would have expected for the most part from the trailers, where we pretty much saw, a trailer that was very confusing, a little bit light on as to what the fuck is going on, but it seemed like the type of movie that you probably would need a drink or drinks and a couple of substances. I don't judge. For the most part, to kind of enjoy this movie. Now, after watching this, is a movie that weird that you probably need a couple of things to really understand what you're saying? No, it's actually not that weird. Honestly, there's a couple of movies that are weirder than this. Particularly A Scanner Darkly is a lot more weirder than this movie. Scanner Darkly is so weird compared to this movie. It makes this shit look like Sesame Street. That's just a simple fact. Now, overall, it has a very nice artwork style to it, right? And I really love the artwork style of the film. Just in general, it reminded me of the music video by Aha, Take On Me, mixed with, as I said, Scanner Darkly, and I really did enjoy that. And I feel like that's where the most energy kind of comes from, the Edward storyline, and I felt like the satire on the film industry was actually some of the best parts about this film. Unfortunately, there's also two other stories. Now, the Emma storyline with Alison Pill, I thought was intriguing. That's kind of where the wackiness and the weird situations kind of come in intact. And then you have the Michelle thing, which is another story, which I won't spoil it because that plays a big part into it. But for the most part, her storyline is just so boring and it feels so out of place to me personally, to the point where it makes the movie actually feel like it goes off the rails a couple of times and it doesn't stay focused. Having two stories, I would have preferred just in general and have the concept as you saw in the trailer. So the trailer is slightly misleading for the most part, but I say that it still manages to do things well. I just felt that the Michelle storyline just felt like it was just kind of boring and it didn't really amount to much until maybe the last 6 or 7 minutes just in general. And that's sadly a bad thing to see. Now, overall, I do like the storylines that were happening. Unfortunately, there's not really much character development, and you can't really get into any of these characters per se, except maybe the Edward character, I would say I really enjoyed. But you were more interested in the situations that these characters are being put into, maybe, instead of the actual story just in general, because I feel like there's really light stuff here. The performances are good, but nobody's really branching out and doing fantastic performances. They're doing good, and that's mainly because the material is so light on what they're trying to give just in general, as I said. Now, overall, I do like the stuff that they try to talk about, as I said, in the film industry, or, stuff about self-image and how attractiveness can kind of get you further or probably hold you back, depending on what you actually want to do. But I thought that was actually quite good. The best way you can really sum this movie up is pretty much art imitating life. That's the best way you can really sum this movie up. It's not weird. It just feels a little bit light. And as I said, I feel like there's not much going on for the movie. And it just feels like a bunch of random situations they put these characters in, and you never really feel attached to these people, and they never feel like real people, which is ironic because most of them really aren't real people. Just in general, it's a fun enough movie to watch, and it has enough energy to it. Unfortunately, as I said, once you have once it tries to shift to different stories, you essentially lose the focus as to what is the best story, and the best story by far is probably the Edward stuff. And that's mainly because it has the most energy, it has the cool art style to it, and it actually has some of the more funnier moments inside the actual film for a movie that tries to be a comedy satire for the most part. It's not weird as it may think, but overall, I enjoyed my time with it, and the ambition is there. Unfortunately, I just feel like it came across as an idea that you have in your head, right? It just didn't execute it as well, except probably in the last 6 or 7 minutes. But even when that concludes, there's really not much left to really discuss. I feel like the movie just felt like it was a little bit pointless and just kind of there. It felt like it tried to be weird just to be weird. And when a movie tries to do that or tries to be too smart or confusing, then it just falls flat on its ass. It's not pretentious, but, slightly forgettable. Overall, I enjoyed myself with it. I wouldn't really watch it again for the most part, but you can check it out. It's interesting enough to check out. You may like it, you might not. I don't give a fuck. It's your wallet, right? As I say. But that's just my thoughts, just in general. I'm Chris Smith, and I'm signing out.